In some respects, the ways in which Soundtrack Pro works with effects is actually more intuitive than the way that Logic does, as we'll see over the course of the next video. I've brought in a stereo trumpet file which I'm going to apply some different effects to. Let's just have a quick listen to it. So what I want to do is to provide some more air in these trumpets with some EQ, and I'm also going to have a look at some reverb and compression settings as well. So the effects pane is over here on the left hand side. In the bottom left hand corner you can see that effects has its own tab, and the first effect that I'm going to bring in is EQ. But before we actually look at that, you can see that the way that Soundtrack Pro orders effects is that it puts the native Logic Studio effect at the top and then third party plugins down there at the list towards the bottom. So I'm going to stick with Logic's effects and open up a channel EQ. You can see the presets are down here in the bottom right hand corner, and there's a bypass switch in the bottom and a reset switch as well if I decide to undo any EQ settings that I make. So I'm just going to dial in some extra treble into this sound and get rid of some of the sort of problem mid-range telephony frequencies and scoop out a little bit from the mid-range here as well. Let's have a listen to that now. And you can hear that little A-B comparison with the bypass switch. I like that setting now. So you can see how Soundtrack Pro works with effects. Here is the channel EQ. If I want to open it and graphically edit it, I can hit the advanced button. Otherwise, I can hit this drop-down triangle, and here are all of the parameters relating to the channel EQ. So I can edit it here if I want. Not that that would be necessarily particularly intuitive. Okay, so the next effect that I want to work with is reverb. So I'm going to come down to the reverb menu, and from here I'm going to select Platinum Verb. I'm just going to very quickly design a little reverb in here that I want to use. So I'm just going to change the reverb time and the mix settings, and that should do us for the moment. Let's just have a listen to that. Okay, that sounds fine for the moment. So what I'm going to do next is to set up some compression. So compression comes third in this little plugin chain at the moment. Let's just get rid of the reverb, and again I'm just going to design a little compression setting in here using the soft limiter there as well. Now, part of the reason that now sounds huge is because, of course, I'm compressing the reverb. The reverb comes before the compressor, and so as well as the dry signal, we're compressing the reverb. Now, I don't want to do that, so I just want to reorder this effect, which is as simple as simply clicking on the compressor and dragging it into position. Much more intuitive than it is within Logic. So now the reverb comes after the compressor, and that sounds much more natural. If I want to, I can get rid of the Platinum Verb altogether. Or put it back in simply by ticking this checkbox. So you can see that I can easily import or get rid of or reorder plugins altogether. And when I'm finished, I can just simply save this file as and give it a name, and that will print the effects onto the stereo file, so it's just saved, which is why, of course, Soundtrack Pro is so good for mastering, bringing in a stereo file, making the mastering settings that you want, and just saving the output file. So that's effects and working with them within Soundtrack Pro.